Okay, so I'm going to do a video reply to this man's video here. Okay, I appreciate his work. He tells a lot of really good truth here, but I laugh in a way, and not at him though, at the fact that this is stuff I've been screaming for years now. I have mentioned this for years to people, and it even goes a lot deeper than what he's talking about in this here particular video. And he'll say, well, he's leaning around, you don't want people to think he's a conspiracy theorist. Okay. And you know the sad truth about conspiracy theorist? It is a word that's been used to destroy truth. See, all a conspiracy is when one or more people, two or more people, conspire, get together, and work out plans to do something. If me and two other guys got together and we planned on robbing a bank or we planned on doing something wrong, that is a conspiracy. And the only thing they have done is added the word theory to it for people who are looking into things or people who are telling truth, so that we could paint them and label them to be nuts, people that are out of their minds, people wearing a tinfoil aluminum hat, tinfoil hat. So, and there's no truth to any of that. So this guy's worrying about people, oh, a conspiracy theorist. That part disappoints me a little bit because he shouldn't worry about that at all, because he's telling you the truth. And I've been screaming about this for years. And I've had so many people not understand. Back in the day when I screamed Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, I wasn't lying to you. And it's not my fault people don't look into things to realize that, first off, the monetary system is owned and controlled by private entities. That's right. The Federal Reserve is not controlled or run or owned by the government. No, it never has been. See, that didn't want you knowing that. It's controlled and owned by private family. Rockefellers. That's right, Rockefellers. Okay? And monetary system is your money, by the way. That's right. The tool. The one thing that's been used that you need to live. You need to live in today's society. It is the tool. And when you control and own the tool, you control the government, you control the people, you control the narrative. You can do anything you want. But we're going to go on with this guy's video, and I'm going to play it because everything he's talking about here is absolute truth, and I'm going to add on to it. But I wanted to do a reply to this man's video, and I want to tell him thank you. I appreciate that somebody has finally come up besides myself within the dating arena and has brought up where I was screaming for years. So let's go onward.
Gentlemen, I hope you've had a great day today. Today we're going to be talking about a very serious topic, guys. I've done a lot of research on this. Now, Magic Alpha 1 gave me a great topic request on the emails about how feminism has created subcultures like MGTOW and how feminism and women misrepresent MGTOW as a man-hating culture. But I did some research on the internet, and when I did this research, I found out about who funded feminism, how feminism was brought about, second wave feminism in the 1960s, and it led me to the Rockefellers. So I did a lot of research onto this, and it's a very scary thing because the Rockefellers, guys, well, you think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to show you some books after this video, and I've got a lot of documented information. But the Rockefellers are like a banking cartel. They're one of the most powerful families, elite Illuminati families in the world, right?
They are. Banking cartel. They are the ones that control the U.S. Federal Reserve. The private family. The Rockefellers. They are in control of that. And what he said right there is so true.
And the Rockefellers are the most powerful family in America. They control vast amounts of wealth, and they have a lot more power than the president. Now, people think, oh, the president's got more power than this elite family. No, he hasn't. The president is just a puppet.
100% truth. 100% factual truth. I've been telling people this for years. I've been called a nut job. I've been made fun of. That's right. I've been blah, 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 okay? But listen up.
We'll have to show these books afterwards, guys, because I know it sounds a bit conspiratorial, but if you guys do the research into the Rockefellers, it's a very disturbing past. I mean, the Rockefellers have so much influence and power into media, into corporations, and into the banking system.
Everything you said is correct. The Rockefellers do influence the media, but through the military industrial complex, which has a branch off the military industrial complex, which is the military media industrial complex. But the Rockefellers are the ones that shoot the orders to the military. See, you don't realize how much power they wield. Okay? The Rockefellers are the reason cancer's still alive and well, and so many people die from cancer. The Rockefellers understands and knows the cure to cancer, but you're not allowed to know that. The Rockefellers controls the medical system in this country. They sure do. And most of you don't even know that.
And I found this out because when I was doing this research for MGTOW Alpha 1, I came across this as well about how feminism was funded, why it was created, and what the whole goal of it is. And it is very disturbing, guys, because let's face it, a lot of these fucking Illuminati people are like Baphomet worships, the Luciferians that worship Satan, the Satanists that have high pedophile rings in the higher elite rings. And I'll have to tell you about these books afterwards, guys, because it's shocking. You know, I've done a lot of research into Rockefellers because the Rockefellers formed the Bilderberg Group, and the Bilderberg Group is another secret organisation which forms the round table on all our international politics, which is very deep. And so I thank you, Maggie Alpha 1, for giving me this topic request, because you helped me stumble onto something very important.
that I've been screaming about for years. Okay? See, this is all, you got to connect the dots. The Rockefellers to the Freemasons, right up to the Rothschilds, to the globalists, to the, get their name, Khazar Azarian Jews. Okay, it's not all Jews. It's only a percentage of them, okay? To different bloodlines and different families. To the Pope, that's right. To the United Nations, UNESCO. It's very, very deep. It's way, way, way too much for even this video. But listen up, because he says everything I've been telling people for years, and he's spot on.
So somebody else asked me to do a topic about feminism and MGTOW, but I fell onto this information, which is really important. So I'm going to get into this topic, guys, because it's very important, and we do need to expose these criminals, because I feel like with the channel now, I'm going further and further out into red pill philosophy. I'm really branching out now, and it's taking me to different dots that I'm connecting in society with red pill philosophy. So I'm really going to get into this. And just to let you know, guys, when I do next month, when I start doing teaching you guys about debts and assets, how to get out of debt, how to manage money, I'm going to have a massive board. I'm going to be doing graphs. I'm going to be showing you guys exclusively, and then we're going to be going even heavier than that, guys, because we're going to be talking about fractional reserve banking, how the banking systems use your money and create money out of thin air. Fractional reserve banking, we're going to talk about how banks create booms and busts, how they cause recessions, and how they buy up everything. I'm going to expose the full corruption of the banks to you, MGTOW men. Those red pill men who are interested in knowing how money is spent, how to save it, will be going into very, very deep topics. So let me get into this in a second. So tonight's topic, feminism funded by the Rockefellers to break up marriage and family. Tonight we are going to be talking about one of the world's most powerful families in the world, one of the most elite families of the Illuminati, the Rockefellers. David Rockefeller is an insanely wealthy banker and philanthropist. But David Rockefeller and his family are financial criminals. They are responsible for funding the Nazi Party in the Second World War, and also they have funded the eugenics in the Second World War for the Nazi Party too. They have done a lot of crimes as well with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, but I'm not going to go too far into the conspiracy theories, but these are the actual documents. If you do the research, guys, onto these public documents, you will find out everything what they've done. I'll show you some books afterwards as well. David Rockefeller, when he was alive, has admitted that he used his wealth and his foundation to fund the second wave feminism in the 1960s. Now, this is a very sinister program because it doesn't just stop there with feminism, because as we know, David Rockefeller is very hell-bent, and all the elites are hell-bent in wanting to have this earth depopulated and looking for ways to erase men and women so the population can be more sustainable for them to control through governments and their central networks. Feminism is an excellent example how the Rockefellers, the Rockefeller cartel, use their power and influence through the mass media and propaganda to control society, to condition men and women through their own Freemason and Illuminati agenda.
That's correct. Remember when I said the poll? Do you remember when I said the poll? Social engineering? One side was programming for women and one side was programming for men.
Through 50 years of feminism, women have lost their ability and loving instincts. Consequently, the family is in disarray, sexual depravity is rampant, and plummeting birth rates continue to rise in society, and more women are continued not getting married and having families. In the past, a woman's love used to be instinctive and self-sacrificing for her husband and children. A wife would love and cherish her husband and put his needs above her own and the children as well. Relationships in marriage between men and women were very symbiotic. In the heterosexual contract, marriage, female power in exchange for male power was a bond of love and unity back then, when there were traditional values and principles and emphasis on husband and wife relationships. As we see, feminism is
everything he says is true. The only thing I don't like is wording that we've used out throughout history. I'm not the one that's done this. When it says it's an exchange of power, that is the wrong wording, because this is where people become corrupt, is wanting power over other people. Okay? It shouldn't be an exchange of power. It should be more about, learning how to get along and compromise. Compromise. See, instead of exchange of power, it should be compromise. Compromise.
Mass indoctrination that has trained women to view marriage as obsolete, oppressive, as a stereotype, and even though it is in a woman's natural instincts to raise a strong, stable family, to have a family unit of masculine and feminine combined to complement each other, now this has become an outdated notion.
Correct.
The best way to control a population is through resources. If you can control who eats, who drinks, and who should be in higher and economical and educational status, then you cause infighting between men and women, always trying to find a role to be more superior in the social and economical hierarchy.
Now do you see what I'm saying about power? This is where we have really messed up, because see, everything he said is true. This is what they've done. This is what we've allowed to happen. This is what we've accepted. When we should have never accepted any of this, because it's not about rising up. It's not about the hierarchy. It's not about any of the stuff he said. It's about a man and a woman compromising. 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 That's right. Learning how to get along. Learning how to understand her feelings and her understanding your feelings. It don't mean changing each other's feelings. That's right. It's not about dictatorship, the hierarchy. It's not about being above somebody else, the hierarchy. It's about being friends that led to best friends, that led to love, that led to companionship, that led to a successful relationship. And to keep that, you stayed the best friends. To keep that, you had to respect each other's feelings. It wasn't about changing them. Okay? To keep that was not a hierarchy. It wasn't to rise above somebody else. Okay? To keep that relationship was not an exchange of power, but learning how to compromise.
And like I spoke in last videos now, women have been socially conditioned from young to view the top 1% men as being more masculine, but really it's not. It's a false notion that's been sold to them through lies.
That's right. See, you remember I said the top percentage of men? Top percentage of men, the ones above the other men? That's right. The lie that's been sold to them. See, he's 100% correct about what he's reading to you here.
Women, thanks to feminism, have been heavily brainwashed by the media and by the advertising, and they have been encouraged to be shallow, to be materialistic,
Yeah, Dan and Jen on YouTube. The media, like he said. But Dan and Jen were dating experts, and they were talking to our young teens. And this is the message this man and woman pushed. Exactly what he's saying right here. Working with the globalists, because see, it's an agenda, and Rockefellers are directly behind this. Google's directly behind this. See, I mean, you follow the dots and you have corporations and everybody in bed with these bankers. What for? Rockefellers are bankers. What for? Well, what do we all need to live on? What do we have? Greed, right? More money, more money. What did we do? We made categories. People with a higher income, people making more money than somebody else, is above another human being. No, they're not. A man-made thing. You see why I call it the tool?
to be self-serving, to be narcissist, and to only view a relationship as an opportunity. You know, women are opportunists when it comes to relationships. Women are in competition with their friends, they're in competition with their partner, always trying to get the bigger and better deal, because women now do not love, because they've been bombarded with so much materialism, and through fear now, women are always in a fearful position that they need to have more, they need to be better
You need
than
to have
each
more,
other.
you need to have more, you need to be better, you need to be above. Okay? That's correct. Everything he said is correct. But it's a lot deeper than that. It's not just women. In society as a whole, because of social engineering, men need to be above men. Men need to be above men. That's right. Whether if it's in the workplace. That's right. In society, we need to be above somebody else, above somebody else. This mentality is straight across the board. But we have placed women above our own selves, men. So everything he said is correct. When you're in the dating arena, it's correct. It's all social engineering. And it's behaviors. But your behaviors are coming from your growing up life as a child, in your family, in your home, the school system, your media, your television set, your books, your magazines, your friends that you hang with. That's right, it is behavior. But the behavior is engineered, it's socially engineered.
And this has caused a lot of infighting, shallow, materialistic need, which has been indoctrinated into many Western women today and is slowly infiltrating in the East as we speak. Today, women are often encouraged that they should indulge themselves with nights out, have heavy drinking with their girlfriends, and that they do not need a spouse, or they don't even need to have like a strong family or a husband or a strong stable boyfriend. Now these articles, such as having no children, being a career driven woman, are gospel in feminist column magazines, and this is preached in much of feminism today. As we see today, sex is no longer reserved for love and marriage. Magazines like Glamour and Cosmopolitan urge young women to put out on the first date, to sleep with a guy on the first date. It doesn't matter about being a whore. It doesn't matter about sleeping with men. You should be proud of having sex with multiple men. But this causes a massive consequence. As we see, there is no emphasis on courtship towards marriage. There's no sort of emphasis on when you're dating a girl on a view to get married. And so there's no emphasis on marriage anymore. So women sleeping on first dates or second dates and just sleeping with multiple guys. There's a lot of STDs going around in society now with men and women. We have a massive increase in single parenthood. We have open hypergamy that has completely destroyed the courtship foundation. Now, as we look back 60 to probably 70 years, that many men who wanted to date women, women who liked men, the father, when he was dating a woman, she had a curfew, the father's daughter, and the father had control over his daughter, and she was well educated in family morals. And so when a boyfriend was a good provider and he was a decent, honourable man in society, he would approach the father and ask for his permission for him to give his daughter away into marriage for him. That was a traditional courtship. Every relationship back then had a meaning, it had a purpose, it had a morality, it had a strong foundation of reciprocal love. But as we see through this Marxist Illuminati propaganda by the funding of the Rockefellers, this has been completely eroded.
It sure has. And then you got other foundations and other people that come along. I mean, the pickup artist industry, that's right, was directly branch off of this. Okay, I mean, AshleyMadison.com was a branch off of this to destroy people who are already married. That's right, to break them up, to destroy that family unit. These are all branches off of this.
Because of feminism, it has unsexed many men now, as they have walked away from their traditional roles of being a provider. Now that being a provider has been stripped away from men and being good, honourable, decent fathers, as 70 years back, when men were masculine, they were very traditional, women were traditional and reciprocal in their love for men. Now men have had no other way but to check out of society. Now these elites didn't fucking think about, how's MGTOW gonna... We didn't really contemplate MGTOW coming up from feminism. We just expected through mass brainwashing of women and boys from a young age that men would never be any wiser to female nature.
Well, he's correct there. The elites at the top didn't anticipate TFL, which was here before MGTOW. This is one of the reasons I got attacked by higher up people. That's no lie. I was attacked by not just ordinary people on the street, but higher up people in society for bringing you to forced loneliness. Because it's taboo, it's not to be talked about. Taboo is corruption. It's hidden knowledge. Everything he's talking about with the Rockefellers, I've already talked about over and over again. The information he's telling you about, I have already told you about over and over. Okay? I'm happy to see him speaking about this. The problem is I've already done it. He's now doing it. But see, now we got MGTOW, men going their own way. Okay? It's not what When in Doubt told you, that it doesn't mean men walking away from women. Okay? And not at all. When in Doubt is uneducated and uninformed.
Because of MGTOW, the government did not intend, and these elites did not intend, that men would opt out. They was expecting through the mind control conditioning of films, through education, and many other outlets, that men would become docile and controllable by women. But this is not the case, because like Hammerhand said in his video when he was giving us all a shout out.
Well, it's not 100% the case. What he's saying is correct, but not correct. Because it's in the proof of the pudding is in your face. We have a whole lot of simps out here that are calling themselves men that are being totally controlled by the woman. See, that's sort of a split there. That's a divide. It really is. What he's saying is correct, but not 100% across the board, because we have a whole lot of simps. And these simps that I like to use, I used to call them manginas, and I don't call them manginas because there's nothing manly about their behavior. These are just simply nanginas. They're simps, okay? And we have a lot of simps, and the bad boys slowly being removed from our society by women, because now there's an epidemic of more and more women chasing after a simp, the guy that will not stand up for himself, that she can control, her perfect slave.
On his video that many of us men have actually had self-actualizing, and MGTOW is a self-actualizing principle where it's caused many of us men to walk away unconsciously and consciously, but for the betterment of ourselves. And so Hanahan makes a very good point about having self-actualizing principles, because this is the very core of MGTOW, and this
Well, I guess that is right.
is what feminism and these elites like Rockefellers and flipping Rothschilds would never ever sort of like be able to understand or even.
But you got to remember what I've told you, because it's true. Everything he's saying here is correct. Okay, MGTOW. Okay, men walking away from women. Okay, you know, that's exactly what it is. Men, okay, walking away from women, and when you got mainstream media is controlled by the military-industrial complex. It really is. This is why you have military media industrial complexes, directly military, who are getting their orders, the military is, from Rockefellers. That's right. That's how that works. It's passed down to the military from the elites, and it went on to the mainstream media because MGTOW was a threat. Okay? If it was taken seriously, men walking away from women, this, once it went on long enough by enough men in massive numbers doing it, would have caused an awakening. It sure would have. And the elite know this. So they grabbed MGTOW, run with it on media, and skewed the definition. And people that are uneducated or haven't looked into it or don't understand what's going on in today's society or our world come along like when in doubt, and will tell you that MGTOW, okay, doesn't stand for, okay, men going their own way to walk away from women, that it stands for men going their own way, taking their own path, and that literally anybody can be a MGTOW because they're just taking their own path. That was to destroy MGTOW. That's what that was about. It was to destroy men walking away from women. That's what that was about. Because they couldn't have men in massive numbers walking away from women, because then women would not be in the position that they've socially engineered. And it would cause women to become, well, TFL. They hated me for bringing TFL onto society. They really did. I was attacked for that. And then Barbarossa gave you walking away from the women. Men walking away, going their own way, walking away from women. And then the media grabbed it from the elite through the military media industrial complex and ran with it to destroy it. And then guys that didn't do any research, that didn't look into anything, that don't know what's going on, fell for mainstream media's propaganda and came up here and said, we're taking our own path. We're pumping and dumping. Yeah, doing exactly what the globalists wanted. In return, destroying the very thing that could have caused men and women to wake up in an uprising against the elite.
Anticipate that a massive collective of men are seeing what's going on in society and have decided to check out. Feminism has deprived many women of having a good, honourable relationship with men, to have a good traditional relationship of being a loving and caring wife. Now that women have bought hook, line and sinker into this materialistic, opportunist, dog-eat-dog society, they no longer view marriage as honourable. And so women have been encouraged to sleep with men on the first date, and so women complain that men see women as sex objects, but men complain that women just see them as human utilities, human ATM machines.
Right. Thanks, gender roles. Yep. Thank you, gender roles. Thank you, feminism. Thank you, Rockefellers. Thank you, military media industrial complex. Thank you, Hollywood. Thank you, fashion industry. Thank you, pornography. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep thinking all these entities. Social engineering. Thank you, school system. Oh, social engineering. That's right. Everything I've just said, all connect the dots. All goes into this.
But it's completely been inverted. Feminism has made Western women undateable, unapproachable, due to their selfish, narcissistic, parasitical nature and overinflated expectations of what they want in men today.
Yeah, through their selfish. Everything he said is correct about women. But let's not leave men out of this. Because who do we look out for in society? Number one. And what is number one? Ourselves. It's all about me, 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 me. Oh, believe me, men are just as guilty of being all about themselves too. It's not a one-sided issue. What he said about the women is correct. But I'm going to point out that it is not a one-sided issue. That is part of social engineering. Divide and conquer. That is really what this is all about, thanks to the elite.
The Rockefellers' goal of feminism has been to destroy the family unit. Through state brainwashing of children, through the media, through propaganda and through education, many men have fell victim to this comatose indoctrination.
Correct.
The other goals are also to displace men of the role of being a provider in a family, which also destabilises the family unit.
Correct.
Now with feminism, and now that women have had to enter the workforce, when women enter the workforce, you have the value of income. When you have double the labour force, you increase taxation, you rise house prices, you rise the price of the car.
Right, you increase taxation, theft. That's right, theft of our money.
Food, clothing, and it is now more difficult to raise a family on just one income. It's hardly possible now. Back there 70 years ago, a father, when there was no women in the workplace, not as many, fathers could bring a good income back home to their wives, and it was sustainable. Prices were fixed, everything was regulated in the economy. But now, because all the economy is being deregulated, there's no job security, and now that women have to work as many hours now in the workforce, just as much as men, now it's going against a woman's biology, because a woman is in a conflict of having a career and then being thanked by the feminists, but she leaves the career, she's shamed by the feminists to want to start a family. But really, this is the Rockefellers' agenda. This is the elites.
It does something else he didn't bring up. Okay, the children. It leaves the children to be raised by the state, by the government. It leaves the women to be married to the government for their financial support, as they dump you and use the government to go after alimony and child support.
Agenda to not have women starting families, having successful families with men. Society is a complete inversion of what it is. Nothing what we see. The Illuminati have undermined women's natural loving instincts as follows, we'll get into. Through the feminist agenda, or shall I say the elitist agenda, this is what they think. Men can no longer be trusted. Men are abusive monsters. Women are victims by virtues of their sex.
Correct.
Women are victims in their private lives, at work, or even in society as a whole.
Yep, they're born a victim just because of their gender. They're automatically a victim because of their gender. Complete propaganda. A complete, utter lie. Primary victims in today's society is men. Women are secondary victims because women was the most protected since the beginning, way back in the caveman days. Women have always been the most protected. Okay? But see the lie, flipping everything upside down on its head. And in today's society, we're all victims. We're all enslaved to the elite. That's right, we're all enslaved slaves. Okay? But the primary victim is the man who's being male bashed, put down. Okay? And the women are being propped up. Okay? And programmed to self-destruct mode. So they destroy themselves, their children, and their husband, or the men. Where the women shall go, the men shall follow. And the women shall destroy. All social engineering.
Thus, women must have a sense of grievance and entitlement and rebellion towards men. Women should be selfish, and liberation and freedom for women has resulted in narcissism, and now this has merged together. The Rockefellers have a huge influence through the banking system, through the mass media, and they have been successful in socially conditioning women through soap operas, through magazines, through celebrity TVs, through films, which continues to undermine her ability to love. Women, as they started out many decades ago, could love men more unconditionally. Even though women were hypergamous, everything was kept in check because we had a strict regulation of morality back then. And sometimes, like 70, 80 years ago, families were more Christian back then as well, but there were more traditional values. Society was more moral. But now we've got the LGBT community now that basically gets offended over Father's Day because basically two lesbians can't actually obviously naturally produce a son or a daughter, and so they want to get rid of Father's Day because it's in tribute to Father's Day. Now, this is no offence to anybody who's homosexual, but basically, children belong with masculine and feminine, and now we can see that, there's been a massive increase in the LGBT community to get rid of the sexes between men and women. I'll tell you another thing now, guys, right? If you do your research, you obviously know that the Illuminati, the elite, worship Baphomet with the goat, with the breasts, and with the male penis. Basically, that's the transgender agenda which they're pushing, because these elites worship Baphomet with the goat, with the breasts, and the penis. That's where they've got being transsexual from, to be both. And that's the whole agenda, because they want to do away with the sexes and further cause more division. You see, as I said before, it used to be caused through racism. These elites push for racism and slavery and warfare. But now people are waking up to it now. And we see...
But now, people's not so much waking up to it. Now they're pushing everything he just said, plus everything else. Okay? They're pushing war. That's right. They're pushing the transsexual agenda, the gay and lesbian. Okay? They're pushing everything straight across the board.
Society with political correctness, identity politics, it's all being pushed by these elites to further divide and conquer.
And the racism is still being pushed hard, except for now, it's the white men who are being attacked. That's right.
Us, and control the resources over the population to really indoctrinate women to be more materialistic, to be more shallow, and to just see men as ATM machines rather than human beings. Now you're wondering, where do I get my information from regarding the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Bilderbergs, the Committee 300, the Round Table? I'll show you.
The Freemasons?
I've got a book on David Icke. It's a 500-page book about the big secret. It talks about all the bloodlines of the politicians.
Now, I know David Icke is a shill. There's no doubt about it. The guy's a plant. But he's been allowed to tell the truth. See, the elite at the top have always said that they would tell the people the truth. That they would tell us the truth and that we would do nothing about it. And they're correct. Look at the shape we're in. They've told us the truth, and we do just that, nothing about it. Okay, and everything he's just told you about, that David Icke has told you about, is all truth. It's not lies. It's truth.
The royal family, the secret societies, where religion came from, the where world religions came from. This also talks about the Satanists, the elite Satanists and the elites, child sacrifice. It also talks about the symbolism in cartoons, in our statues, in our flags. So much information where these elite families came from, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, in this here. Another book I've got, guys. People think that, presidents are naturally selected by the public through vote. They're not. And I've got some proof why, because
they're not selected by the people. The elite pick out who you get to vote for. And your voting system is a fraud, but even if it goes wrong, you're still going to pick a candidate that the elite chose for you.
Got this book on Freemasonry. The 33 Degrees of Freemasonry, the Book of Hiram. This is the philosophy of Freemasonry, how members become initiated and what they talk about in the lodges. And I've also got another book of Freemasonry regarding Inside the World's Secret Society of Freemasons. Now,
yeah, you know what? Secret societies, false flags are orchestrated by the Masons. No lie. The Masons. All of your media, the majority of military media have become Masons. But you had to move up the chains. The majority of Masons are low-numbered Masons who actually believe they're doing good for society because they keep the low numbers doing good for society, so the image that the people see is Masons are good people. But when you move up in the chains in the Masons, you find out they're not good people at all. They work with the elite, and they're destroying your society. They're setting up the false flags to come after your guns, to strip your rights away from you, to enslave you.
I've been studying a lot of this esoteric knowledge, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. I don't want to say too much because you might think, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, but I've been studying a lot into Satanism and Freemasonry. It's how it's all connected with our politics in the world today, and how satanic subliminal messages are put into Disney cartoons, they're put into films, and how to watch out for symbolism.
Okay, I'm going to cut it there. But I've said what I wanted to say. The rest of the stuff he's talked about is also stuff I've talked about over the years of doing this. But he's correct. And men going their own way, MGTOW, men going their own way to walk away from women was exactly what it was supposed to be. But media did a really good job of destroying that. Thank you, military-industrial complex. That's right. And for people not looking into stuff. I have respect for this guy. I really do. I like him. I have respect for him. He's telling you stuff I've been screaming at you for years. I was happy to see somebody else finally screaming what I've been screaming in the dating arena. And with that being said, I'm getting out of here. You all have a good one. Oh, don't worry. I'll leave the link to his video in the more in case you want to find his video on his channel and go subscribe. That being said, later.